Hi everyone, welcome back to the webinar series. In our last session, we covered the use case related to table view features. On this webinar series, we are going to cover the topic related to miscellaneous settings. I hope the last session was helpful for you related to table view features. Now this time I'm going to start with the miscellaneous settings. On the right top, you'll find the miscellaneous settings. With the name, you can find there is a mixture of features on the miscellaneous settings, and I'm going to cover one by one. And the first one is loading view. Loading view indicates the application is being done or loaded in the background, and it will take time to load into your application or to show your result. So this is how your loading view looks like. This is the animating style you can find, and the default is the scrolling, or we can see as the circular loading view you can see. So the main purpose of loading view is to show or give feedback, you can say. So you can customize your loading view from here, giving the color, background. If you want on top of the icon, the name you want to give, like a loading or please wait, you can configure that over the loading text. And as I showed you, the default and animated style on the image, this is where you can configure it. By default, you can set it here as a default. So the main motive was for the informative purpose. You can see last time when a table view was loading, or to load more records, you're giving load more icon was showing. So for that, to refresh your table view, the loading view appears. So to customize that, you can click on it and customize from this area. The next thing we have here is a splash screen. The splash screen is the first screen that appears on your application. Right? So how your splash screen looks like. So you can see over here the example for the popular applications like Uber, the splash screen, Flipkart. So the splash screen acts like the introductory screen showing your brand, showing your icon, right? So splash screen is also like a normal other screen that you can configure. So let's take this blank screen. Here I'm going to name it as a splash screen. So select the screen. You can design yourself this screen by taking any icons. Right now I'm going to take an image to design my splash screen. Set the height and width for this image view and select any image that you want from the asset manager. On a property bar of an image view, you can find the image area where you can select the image from your asset manager. So number of images you can find from here. Right now I'm going to select one which can be helpful. Okay, this I'm going to select this as my image on an image view. Make the background as none so that you can find the background as white here. Now that you have created this screen, I have not defined anywhere that either I'm going to make this as a splash screen or not. So go to the splash screen settings under miscellaneous settings here, and screen type is screen. Now the source is a splash screen that we have configured right now or created right now. So normally on this, what happens when you load your application, you see the splash screen, and after some time you'll redirect to the main screen. So how long you need to show that splash screen, you can define over here. You can set the duration. Here now I have given is a 3. You can set is as required. The more the time it takes for your application to load, you can increase the time for your splash screen. Now that I have defined here the time for the splash screen, what I want to do is when the time completes, I need to go towards the main screen. So on the action of your screen, there is the action called as time completed. This event is triggered whenever the time that you provided on your splash screen settings expires. So on click of it, you can give the action redirect to the screen that you want. So right now, I want to redirect to the home screen, right? To save it. You can check on your Preview.IT, your splash screen. So the main purpose here to configure the splash screen is for better user experience. You can see the changes. So this is your splash screen, and after the time expires 3 seconds, you redirect to the home screen. Perfect. Now this is regarding the splash screen. Let's move to the side panel, the third features on the miscellaneous settings. So what is side panel and why it is used for? Side panel is used for designing effective navigation, as we all know. But how the side panel appears, like let me show you first image to give the better understanding. So this is how your side panel appears, right? So on the main screen, you have a side panel where you can navigate to different screen from here. So you can see here the many options. When you click on it, you get that screen on the main screen. So for that, we have already home screen here. So when someone, let me give you an example, like when someone comes into your, starts using your application, they need to know where to go and how to go from one point to another. So effective navigation is very important, otherwise they will quickly lose their interest into your application, and the very next time we'll lose our client. So let me show how we can configure a side panel into our application to manage our content. So let's take a home screen. On top of it, I want a navigation bar on my application. So navigation, the side panel is also like any other screen, right? So we can create another screen which we can configure on top of it like a side panel. So let's create another screen which will act like a side panel for us. So right now I'm going to take a template so that I can manage my time here. So next, choose any API that we have to map with the content of the table view which we have used in this listing. So I'm going to map the name and finish. So right now we have simply created a screen which we want to configure it as a side panel on home screen, taking a default API which we have and a template which will save our time. So this is our screen configured here, right here. So now we have created a home screen and a right menu, but we haven't defined anywhere that it would act like a side panel for the home screen. The right menu would appear as a side panel to the home screen. So we can define that from the side panel in miscellaneous settings. Here, we have given options to choose your central panel. So we decided to take here a home screen as my central panel. Similarly, I want side panel to appear from my right. So let me take a right menu which I just configured the screen. You can take it as a left menu too by selecting it on the main screen here. Similarly, you have a number of options here like left panel animation type. So whenever how you want your side panel to appear, animation type, if you want to give any, you can click on a drop down and select the animations type. By default, we have parallax over here as the animation type. Similarly, you can define the width for your right panel to appear on your home screen. You can see here by default we have 270. It depends upon you. You can set the number over here. So the main motto is that the side panel should not be exactly the same width of your home screen. Now, here you can choose the gesture like open side panel gesture mode, like on panning your center view or panning on navigation bar, on what you want your side panel to appear. So I have opened my side panel gesture. Similarly, the close side panel gesture, I've enabled it. Save it. Now, with this, we have configured a side panel with a simple configuration in just a few minutes. The thing is, the first screen that you are appearing right now is a splash screen. Some logic we have followed here, that's the internal logic. Whenever you redirect to the side panel, redirect to the screen that has side panel, you need to redirect directly to the side panel instead of the screen which we have configured the side panel into. So you can find, whenever you configure a side panel, you find the option over here in a select screen, like side panel. But the user might get confusion that in the home screen we configured the side panel, so we should choose this home screen as the redirecting screen. But we have to choose here a side panel to make or for side panel to be visible. So let's check here by re-downloading our project again how the side panel looks like. Normally the navigation should be intuitive and predictable so that the user which are coming for the first time or the user who are coming again should be able to navigate easily. So let's see. So this is our splash screen. So this is our home screen that appears, and providing a gesture, you can see a side panel appearing on your screen. Right? So how simply we configure a side panel into our application. The next thing that we want here is whenever you click on any option on your slide menu, you need the screen related to that menu into the main screen, right? So that screen is also some other screen that we have to configure. Now, let me create one more screen over here. So let me create it as right side panel screen. So this is a blank screen that I'm going to create. So on click of the menu on my side panel, I have to redirect to this screen that I just configured. For more understanding, let me take a level here. And name it as any country so that you'll find it easy for understanding that on click of this, okay, give here a name like country. So this is just for the informative purpose and keep it at the center. Now, the logic you have to apply over here is in the side panel screen. On this screen, on click of any cell, you need to redirect to the screen related to it. So on the table view, listing, you have an action over here, table select row. Click on it and you'll find the side panel properties. This is the properties related to the side panel. So you can define here the action to change the central panel. To the screen, just we have configured that is right side panel. Save it. You can see the changes on your application. We download the project again to see the changes. Whenever you configure side panel, you need to re-download the project each and every time, because when you make the changes or refresh one screen, the result won't be shown. The side panel constitutes of number of screens. So whenever you make the changes, you need to re-download it so that the changes appears in all the screens. So this is the screen, home screen. navigation. So on click of the cell, see right now, you can see here the country screen associated with your side panel, right? So this is how we configure the side panel in Configure.IT. This is as simple. Now let's move on to another settings, miscellaneous setting features. That is default page. Default page is the first page that appears on your application. And what we have here confusion is the number of screen that we have here. We consider that the default page will be the screen that appears on the first screen or appears in the first. So that is not depending upon your order of your screen here. Default screen is the screen that you mention over here. So whichever screen you want to appear at the very first, you need to provide it from here, because most of our user they make the mistake over here, because whenever we create the project for the first time, home screen is the first screen or default page. So they keep on configuring other screen and they want to see that screen first in the preview IT. So for all that users, the default page we have to set from here. So right now the splash screen is the default screen for us. Save it. So this was all about default page. Let's move on to the status bar. So what is status bar? Let me make it more clear. Status bar is a bar that appears on the top of your application. So whenever you configure an application, you can either hide this status bar consisting of your battery, this network. If you want to show this, you need to enable the status bar. If you don't want it to appear, you can hide it on your settings over here by enabling it. So when you set your status bar to default, like you can see on our application here, you can see the status bar on your application, which is default. So this is whenever you have a light content background, you need to set your style as default. And whenever you have a dark background screen, you need to set it as light content, like the example I showed you. It's very easy to configure. Now let's move on forward with another feature on miscellaneous settings, which is very important, is app settings. App settings is related to any API and API security related settings we have to configure over here. So whenever your application is ready and you need to host that application on a server, you need to execute all your APIs, right? So you need to provide a base URL. If you're hosting it on our server, it's already, or by default you get this. If you're hosting on another server, you can provide the base URL over here. Another section over here is all related to the security for your API. So when you enable your token, when you enable your token over here, you need to provide the API for which you need to create a token over the API name for create token down here. So when you create a token for your API, it validates all your API related to that with the help of that token. Similarly, whenever you make the changes over here, you need to enable this features on our backend too. So here on admin panel, you have the similar settings which you need to do for the security purpose of your API. On the settings, it might take some time to load. So let me refresh this admin panel. So whatever the changes that you are making or giving on your miscellaneous settings, on an app settings, you need to provide the same on the admin panel. and Miscellaneous here, an admin panel. We have the area for Authenticate. So all the changes that you make over there, you need to activate the token over here too. So whenever you enable here, you need to enable on your backend too. So similarly, the checksum is used to make sure that whatever you give the input in an API is still the same when it reaches the server, so that there is no data tampering on the middle. Next, here we have the data encryption. This is used to encrypt all your input and output parameters of an API for security purpose. And whenever you provide the data encryption enabled, you need to provide here the encryption key, which should be similar to the encryption key that is provided over here in the admin panel, API encryption key. Make sure whatever you insert here, you need to ensure the same API key over here, encryption key. So internally, we provide this encryption using AES 256-bit algorithm. The next thing over here in the miscellaneous setting is enable interactive pop gesture. So when you enable this in your Preview.IT or in your application, when you swipe, you'll be able to redirect next to your or back to your other screen. This was all related to the app settings. Now what we have more here is an image cache. So what is cache? Cache is a temporary storage where whenever you save any files or images, it saves into your main folder as well as saves in your cache. So it's a temporary storage. So if your file gets deleted and you want to retrieve that file again, you do not have to re-download it. You can take it from your cache. So whenever you have cache, you need to give here a time or a days till when you want that images on your cache. So you can provide here the days as your requirement. So this also takes some memory on your application, so better make it less days here in the image cache. This is all about image cache. The next thing that we have here is a map. For an iOS application, whenever you take a map, whenever you drag and drop your map to show the location on your application, it takes an Apple map by default. So if you want to enable a Google map on your application, you can enable it from here. The next thing that we have here is an alert view. So why do we use an alert view? We normally use alert view to notify the user about the important information. The alert view which we use here is whenever we supply the wrong input to the API, it validates your inputs and provides you with a validated data or an alert that whatever you have entered is incorrect. So that standard alert view we need to configure from here. You can provide the button title, and that you can do it from over here. So whenever, let me take an example. By taking any inputs here, when you select a username, you provide here a validation for your API, right? So let me put here email. So you have here a message for your alert that pop-ups. That is, please find your enter email address spelling. So that alert view is to set this alert view which we are giving over here. Let me show the image. So this is how your alert view looks like with the detail and the button over here. All right. So any other thing which is left over here, let me quickly do this. The pull to refresh we have already covered in the last session. You can customize your pull to refresh whenever you refresh your table view by pulling or scrolling down the table view. You can customize this, and whenever you put here or enable is native on your pull to refresh, all the customization will not be shown, and the native pull to refresh, how it looks, appears on your application. With this, all the topics are covered here. Okay, if you have any questions related to miscellaneous settings, you can shoot out here. Hope you found the session of today helpful to configure your application using number of features available in the miscellaneous settings. If you have any doubt, you can place your question on a chat box here. Okay, we have started getting the questions. So the first question I can see here is, can I change app-based URL after downloading the code? And yes, you can change it. On app delegate file, you can change base URL for your API. So this was the answer for the first. The second question that we have is, can I use both Apple Map and Google Map both in my app? Okay. For this answer, we support only one application, only one. So with the both, which you can use only one from both maps, either Apple Map or Google Map. So still, you can raise some questions here. Till the question comes, the next webinar which we are going to have is for the tab bar settings. Okay, I got the next question over here. That is, can I enable all three types of security for API? Good questions. Yes, you can enable any one or two or all three settings. So, but you need to make sure that whatever the settings that you are doing from the front end for the app settings here, you make the same on your admin panel on a back end. So the next question is, can I have animation in my splash screen? Okay, for this, as of now, we support only image for a splash screen. We support screen. On the screen, you can configure an image. You can keep on raising the queries. We have plenty of time right here. You can raise as much query as you want on our chat box. I'm here to answer them all. Can I have a custom? Another question is, can I have a custom design for Alert View? For this, no, as of now, we do not support the custom view for Alert, but we have a workaround on that. So what you can do is that you can use view control, customize the design, and load that view as an alert. So hope this is helpful for you if you want to customize the alert view. Okay, the next question, I guess the question is from our daily user. So the question is, does the SidePanel work on Android as well? Usually it is troubling for Android. Yes, it works seamlessly for iOS and Android with similar configuration. So you can configure once and migrate it to your Android application. It will work. The SidePanel will work for both Android and iOS application. Next question is, can I customize my SidePanel like by putting a button in it? So answer for that is yes. Right now I have configured a gesture mode to appear my navigation, right? So you can see over here, I used a gesture for showing a navigation bar SidePanel into my application. You can configure a button here, and so whenever you want on click to appear your navigation bar, remember one thing to do is make your open SidePanel gesture mode to none. So whenever you do this, on side or on sliding your navigation bar or on sliding your center panel, your SidePanel won't appear. Only on a click of your button, the SidePanel appears. So this is the simple logic that I'd like to share for you. Make it as none and use on button you can use SidePanel properties. Okay, we have more question related to SidePanels. That is, can I have two SidePanels both on left and right? The answer is yes. It is possible, but you need to make proper configuration and handle open SidePanel left or right carefully. So this is possible, but you need to handle it properly or carefully. The event should be handled carefully. So let me end this webinar here, and I hope to meet you on another webinar that we are going to have another Tuesday with a topic that is tab bar settings. Thank you.